And we are starting lying down. What a luxury. So, yeah. Lie down on your backs and just take the soles of the feet to the wider edges of your mat with the knees bent up. So the knees are bent and the knees just gently rocking towards one another. So they can rest in the center of your mat, and you tend to slightly turn the heels out and the toes turn in. So it's pigeon-toed here. And you want to start to relax a little bit through the spine, relax through the hips, relax particularly into the knees, the shins and the calves, and coming down to the ankles, to the feet, and also into the toes. So as we come towards the end of the month, end of our back to basics, back to school, back to the practice through the eyes of a beginner, we've worked through our spine, we've worked through our feet, and we've worked through our more basic beginner postures. This one is to work a little bit into the hips, to find hip flexibility. We tend to take a lot of tightness, a lot of tension, and also emotional restraint into the hips as well. So just allowing your focus and your breath down into the hip area, the pelvis, the lower back, the sacrum, the hip joint, the hip sockets, and particularly the thigh bone, the femur, that connects right into the hip socket there. The head of the femur nestles itself into the pelvis. You can start to feel the weight, the heaviness of the bones, the hip sockets, and the pelvis. And all of your focus, your inner awareness, and your breath in and out is just held around that whole entire area, from the knee to the middle back. This week we obviously celebrated the autumn equinox as we come into autumn, a time of finding balance where the day equals the night, but also a time of gratitude and thankfulness for the summer and also what the earth provides for us during harvest. And from the warmth and the sunny days of high summer, we start to descend back towards the earth. And this transition period is a time of harvest, a time of abundance, and a feeling of being full or being complete. And what was just once a seed or an intention at the beginning of spring is now fully realized. And at this time of the year, the season is calling us back home to nourish and repair ourselves. And if we can't find our center we may worry and we may go around in those pointless circles, unable to find a clear path. It may be a time when we over-process thoughts and actions and give out too much for our own good. So I want you to think of this practice as certainly nourishing yourself, repairing yourself, and giving yourself all of that goodness. Find an intention for your practice today, whatever resonates with you, particularly in some of those words from the reading, or particularly a physical intention towards the hips, maybe releasing, pent up, held emotions. And all the focus and the eyes of the beginner is into the hips, the pelvis, and into the thigh. Begin to bring movement into the hands, wiggle fingers, wiggle toes. Heel toe the feet into parallel, so you bring the toes and the feet and the heels together. You feel the calves connect and you feel the knees together. Feel the feet planted and spread out on the ground. Release through the spine and then gently draw the knees in towards the chest. Try to keep the feet and the calves and the knees together here. As you just draw the knees in towards the chest, notice the breath might change as you compress the thighs and the heaviness of that femur, the thigh bone, pressing down towards the abdomen. So still find the easiness, the comfort of your breath, breathing in and out. Take the breath to the sides of the body and to the spine. And the belly fills, presses against the thighs, and exhales and empties and presses into the lower back. Take the fingertips up onto the shins and start to guide the knees out nice and softly here, just mobilizing into the hip joint, and just notice and just visualize again that head of the femur coming into the socket of the hip. And maybe you've started to go outwards first of all, so just notice any clicks, any crunches, or maybe it's nice and smooth. And that hip socket is moving really comfortably. And then come inwards, and the knees come towards one another. Then coming into our first posture, placing the soles of the feet down once more. Feet are together, knees are together, calves are resting, and then you can open the knees out into butterfly or reclined bound angle. So making sure that all 10 toes touch, soles of the feet touch, and the heels are touching. We're going to stay here for a number of minutes. So make sure that you're comfortable, and you can always use blocks underneath the thighs. So if you've got 2 blocks handy, you might just like to rest those underneath the thighs. It's not quite a restorative practice, but this is passive opening. And you might rest the hands down onto the heart or the belly, or you take them onto the hip flexors, or you take them out to the sides of the body, palms face up. So place the hands wherever you feel that they need to be. I'm going to take my hands onto the hip flexors and just feel the warmth from my palms there. So you'll notice probably that the back is starting to arch away from the mat, relaxing through the belly. And just notice if you did engage the abdomen and start to pull the belly towards the spine and the spine towards the mat, you feel that the hip flexors and the inner thighs start to engage. So I want you to feel that you're not engaging anything and you're simply allowing softness to come into all of the connective tissue that surrounds the deeper muscles. And there's a lot going on around the hip joints. So allow that natural arching, that natural lordosis of the spine to release the hip flexors and release tightness and tension. And be guided to the stillness of the posture, mind and body through the anchoring of your breath and breathing in and out of the area of our focus. So inner groin, hip flexors, outer hip, glutes, pelvis, sacrum and lower back. Holding for just a few more breaths here. Really try and allow release, letting go of tightness, tension, gripping, and always being present. Taking the hands from wherever they are underneath the thighs. I want you to use the hands to lift the legs together. Try not to use the hip flexors to lift the legs. Place the knees together and take the feet wide, pigeon-toed once more. Realign the hips and the pelvis and just soften into this constructive rest posture where we started. And just notice the response of the body as you come out of that reclined butterfly. It's quite a deep hip opening because the knees are heavy, so it allows the knees to just rest. We want you to let go of, the gravity, so you're not holding the legs up in any way in any of the postures today. Heel toe the feet back into the parallel position. Once more, toes, feet connect, calves rest against one another, and the knees connect. Draw the knees into the chest once more. Keep the knees together. Lengthen the tailbone along the mat. Spread the spine. We worked all on the spine last week, so spread the shoulders. Relax into the facial expression, the jaw and the neck. Find the breath as you compress the thigh bones towards the abdomen. The belly presses against the thighs as you breathe in and as you breathe out, relaxing and pressing into the mat through the lower spine. Take the hands up onto the shins and just mobilize into those hips once more. A few circles outwards and a few circles inwards. See if that's made any difference being in butterfly for 5 minutes. So happy baby coming up, the knees go wide. You can use your strap here and you can place the strap over the feet. So if your hands don't quite meet the outer edges of your feet, you can hold onto the ankles, the calves, or behind the thighs, but try to get the knees nice and wide of the rib cage. Lengthen the tailbone downwards so the tailbone isn't lifting off, but just wrap the strap over the top of the feet if you need to and hold on to both ends and relax the elbows down onto the mat. So I'll show you that variation of using the strap. Keeping the feet nice and flexed, they push up towards the sky as you pull the strap downwards. Good. So finding the stillness in happy baby. We want to feel that those knees are getting further and closer towards the mat. You don't have to hold on too tightly to the strap or to the feet. Try and relax the tension in the fingers and the grip. And just feel where the target areas come in for you. Notice if it's into the back of the hamstrings, or if you can feel it tight into the hip flexors here, deep flexion in the hip flexors. Relaxing head, face, shoulders, arms and the grip. Keep lengthening the tailbone downwards towards the end of the mat, really pulling the pelvis down, lengthening the entire spine. We're almost there. Just another few breaths. Slow down the breath, make it a little longer, a little deeper. Working towards your edge. And slowly release the hands, release the feet. Slowly, slowly, slowly extend the legs all the way along the mat. Just notice the body respond when you come out of the posture. Breathe out. Let it go. You had a deep hip flexion there. So just, kind of smooth out if you like. You feel the hip flexors returning back to normal. Notice what the spine does. It's all about coming out of the posture as much as being in it. Give the feet a little wiggle. Give the fingers a little movement as well, because the grip as well. You're holding the feet. And then bring those feet back in. Soles of the feet go wide. Drop the knees together and relax into the lower back. We'll always tend to return back to this posture because it just relaxes into the hips, the inner thighs, the outer thighs. Heel toe the feet into parallel once more. Draw the thigh bones in towards the belly and take hold of the top of the knees, lengthening the spine. And this time just roll from side to side. So you're just going to rock from side to side, resting on an elbow as you roll left and right, massaging through the lower back. And then circle both knees together, round one way and round the other. And let's come into IT band stretch. So you can use a block for this. I'm just going to show you on this side actually. So I'm going to roll over onto the left hip and your right foot comes over either on top of the block or it might come down on the inside of the knee or the thigh. The closer that foot is towards the hip, the deeper that is going to feel into the IT band and the inner groin. So I tend to put my ankle round about my knee. But if it doesn't quite meet, you can just rest it on the block. Try and face the toes out 45 degrees. And then you're going to start to release the shoulder blades back onto the mat. So the chest comes up towards the sky. And the arms can be down by the side of your hips, palms face up. So we want to try and get the chest nice and open up towards the sky. Both shoulder blades are down. Nice. So starting to feel where this target area is for you. You might feel it in the knee. You might feel it in the inner thigh and the inner groin. You might feel it in the outer hip. And that IT band going down towards the knee. Relax the thigh bone and all of the connective tissue connected from knee down to lower back. And start to tune into your target areas, working towards your edge, maybe feeling that edge at about a 5 or a 6. If it feels like a 9 or a 10, you might need to just rearrange yourself so that you feel a little bit more comfortable in the posture. Taking the breath as your anchor down towards those target areas. And relax the gripping, trying not to fight with yourself. Just a few more breaths here. Doing great. I know that this one can be a bit of a challenge, but we don't want to force anything. We want the passiveness of the stretch. Slowly release the knee, release the foot. Come back into the center and take the legs wide into Shavasana. Let the legs be nice and long. And just notice that feeling of release, also of probably relief coming out of the posture. Exhaling. And we come into the other side. So rolling on to the right hip, dropping the right knee down a little bit, and then placing left heel, left foot down in front of the knee or in front of the thigh, opening up the chest. This is much, much tighter for me. So noticing any imbalances with your own postures throughout the practice. When we do right and left, we want to find balance, but sometimes it's not always achievable or accessible. So we always need to honor and respect our full range of motion. Soften into the whole hip, thigh, connective tissue up towards the knee. Trying to open the chest up towards the sky. Shoulder blades are connected. And you may feel this in different places when you switch to the other side. You might feel that the posture gives you more stretch in different parts of the body, different parts of the leg. Doing great here. Just a few more breaths. Really slow down the breath for the last minute. Notice if you've held any tension anywhere. Try and let that go. And slowly release the knee, release the foot. Take time, extend both legs. Full Shavasana. Ooh, I can really feel it when I come out of that posture. So you're not the only one. It probably challenges. And draw those knees in nice and wide of the belly this time. Rock and roll side to side. And then move the hips as freely as you need to. Circling, rolling, whatever feels good. Just extend the legs up towards the sky, stretching through the back of the legs, pointing, flexing into the feet and the ankles. Circle and rotate. Give the legs a little shake. And this is where we come up to our dragon pose. So rolling over to one side. Take time. We've been down there a while. So you've got your blocks handy should you need those. And if you like, you can use your bolster as well. So you can use your blocks in front of you and your bolster underneath your back left knee. Coming into dragon. Right foot comes forward. You're going to drop the hips down here. So before you actually go deep into the posture, really try and figure out how it starts to feel. And always choosing an option that works for you that you can stay and hold. So maybe winging the foot out to the sides, toes point out, heel faces forward, making sure that knee is nicely stacked over the front ankle. And those blocks can be on any of the levels. Remember, you've got different heights of those. So what I quite like to do is to come down onto the forearms. It just rests out my wrists So you can always put them on the highest level, and then maybe you come down onto the forearms. Or you could put 2 blocks together like that. Now start to drop the weight. Really give way to gravity here. This is gravity bearing down into the pelvis, into the hips. Soften through the glutes. Soften into the front right hamstring. Soften into the back left thigh and hip flexor. And just notice if that gripping or tightening starts to come back in after you lose a little bit of focus. Try and retain that focus into the areas that we're focusing on, target areas. Keep relaxing. Keep releasing. Keep letting go. Feel nourishment and repair to the areas rather than fighting. You are doing great here. Keep breathing out, letting go each breath out. There's always more to be found. And after a few minutes, you might start to take one of the blocks away, or you can lower the blocks to a different height. Nice and slowly. Coming out of the posture, bringing your hands back to support you. You're going to start to pull yourself back and just give yourself a little release into a half monkey, pulling the toes up of the front leg, relaxing, stretching. So chest and spine are parallel to the mat, crown of the head reaches forward. It's just a release into that hamstring. And then bend the knee and just slowly sweep it back. Take a tabletop for a moment, just to release the hips, release the spine. Cat and cow. Oh, the back feels good, actually. Circle the hips if you need, and then come left side. So we can always start with, the props on their highest level. And you can always change them midway through. And without having the bolster there, you're allowing a deeper sense of release into the postures. Coming in, breathing out. letting go. Close the eyes, be present, be aware. Right to left, any differences? And finding the complete release through the entire target areas of buttocks, pelvis, hips, hamstrings, hip flexors, all of the connective tissue that surrounds them. Soften, let go. If your mind wanders, return to the breath, return to the target area. Let go on each exhale, a bit more. Last few breaths here. Slowly coming out. If you took the forearm option, come back up onto the hands and then gently start to move the hips back, pulling up the front toes, digging in that heel, keeping the chest parallel to the mat. Nice little stretch into that hamstring, half monkey. Bend the front knee if it's particularly tight. Yeah, good. Nice. And then bring the hands on the inside of that left leg. Sweep it back nice and carefully. And again, just whilst you're in that tabletop, you can start to release. Circling hips. A few rounds of cat and cow. And just let's take a nice wide leg child's pose here. The bolster might be in front of you, so you can just rest the chest there. Maybe the head comes onto the block, and it's a softer variation of a child's pose. It's just a recovery pose for 1 minute. We're not here for a long time. So relax the buttocks, relax the glutes, the hamstrings. Relax the thighs, the inner thighs, the outer thighs. Relax the spine. Bring the hands down to press yourself up and start to roll up nice and slowly through the spine, coming up and then just taking the legs out into half butterfly. So this is where you might use a block or a bolster, or you don't have to. So half butterfly is with the left foot into either the calf, so it can press against the calf here, or in towards the thigh. And you can always prop up that knee. I'm going to prop up my knee because I can already feel where my injury is coming in, and I'm feeling that there. So I'm going to prop up the knee there. And then we're actually bringing the head down towards that knee, but you can always use the block or a bolster to support the head. So if you don't quite meet the block there, that's even quite tough for me. So I think what I'll do is I'll just let gravity help me out with that and just stay with the head relaxing towards the knee. So this one is allowing the left knee to fall out nice and gently. You're working into the left hip. You're also working into the right hamstring, the right leg. And you've got a spinal flexion going on here. So letting go as much as you can. These used to be some of my favorite postures, but when you've got an injury, I tell you, it really does change things. So you really do have to honor your range of motion in the present, rather than think back to what you were capable of doing or what you are capable of doing. It's always on that day. And the head and the neck soften as much as they can. And again, if you're using that prop to support the head and the neck, maybe you're finding that you're getting a little bit deeper into the forward fold, and you can start to take away a block. Or maybe taking the bolster away and just letting the head release down. We're not here for 5 minutes, so starting to walk the hands back, sitting upright, lift the knee, and then extend that one. Stay upright for a moment, just relax into the legs, feel grounded through both sit bones, nice long spine. You can relax they don't have to be engaged or flexed or pointed, just soften through the back of the legs, and then bringing other foot in. Oh, so much easier the other side. Again, you can use blocks underneath knees. That helps. You can always bend the outstretched leg, and that foot does not have to come into the thigh. It can always go to the calf. So again, this could be your posture. It's okay. And whether that be that your head comes down towards the block or towards the knee. So just find what works with the props. Good. Try to relax as much as you can into the second side. Letting head, neck release, soften through the face, relax through the spine. Maybe each breath out, you're getting a little bit deeper into the pose, finding stillness, mind and body being present. Breathing out to let go further. Nourishing, repairing, restoring, more than fighting, forcing. Let go to gravity. And starting to roll up through the spine. Last thing to come up is the crown of the head. Take that leg out, nice and steady. And again, sit upright. Allow the spine to just slot back into its place after the forward fold of the flexion. Relax the feet, the ankles, the legs, and we're going to come down onto our backs once more. So have the strap handy by the side of you. You might need it for our reclined shoelace. So drawing the knees in towards the chest and just gently roll and massage out. Reclined shoelace is that the right leg crosses over the left. You want to really cross the thighs as if you're sitting and crossing the legs in a chair. Squeeze the thighs together and then relax the feet and ankles down towards the buttocks. And that's where I say the strap might come in handy, because you can put the strap over the shins and then pull the thighs in towards the belly if you don't quite meet the feet. So if you're taking hold of the feet, you're pulling those out gently to the sides. It's like a cow face. So it feels a little bit awkward, I know, but you're drawing that right thigh in and then the left thigh pulls in as well. So you might be feeling this into the right glute, the right outer hip, pulling those heels in towards the hips. We've worked up to this one. A little bit more of a challenge. So the strap goes over the shins and then you pull the ends of the strap to pull the thighs downwards towards the belly, making sure that those knees are in line with your head. They're not going off to the left or to the right. They're right in the center of the chest. Good. Oh, it's a big challenge, this one. Try not to fight it or force it, just work with it, work with the breath. Remember to let go of the gripping, let go of the tension. If you feel discomfort somewhere, moving into pain, you've gone a little bit too far and you might need to ease off. But if you're finding challenge, that is your edge. And relax, release the hands. Unfold the legs. Take them to that constructive rest pose. Feet are pigeon-toed, turning toes in, heels out, knees rocking towards one another. How's reclined shoelace feel? So one more side. Obviously, we've got the left leg to do. Heel toe the feet in, and then cross the left thigh over the right. Really get those thighs as much together as you can, and then lift the knees in towards the chest. This is the hard part where you take hold of the feet or the ankles, and you start to pull the feet outwards. So you're going to pull the left heel down to the right hip and the right heel down to the left hip. It's always a little bit of coordination needed there. Again, those knees are central. They're coming in towards the chest, in towards the chin. Soften into the posture and relax. I'm going to try and get that thigh, the thigh bone heavy down onto the belly. Relaxing all muscles, all connective tissue. A few more deep breaths. We're almost there. And release the hands. Release the feet to the mat. Unravel the legs. And then drop those knees towards one another. Take a moment. Breathe out. Just heel toe the feet parallel with the hips. Arms out to the side of you. Shoulder height. Palms face up. And just drop the knees over right and left, windscreen wiper. So you can breathe out as you drop them to the right. Breathe in Come into center, go onto the inside and outside of the feet as you roll over to the other side. So breathe into center, out as you release. Go to the other side again. Just do a few more. Just work with the breath. Inhale and exhale. And this is your inner thigh, outer thigh, hip flexors, quadriceps. And just keep going right and left with the breath. And then return into center. Draw the knees in, circle, massage out, then take the fingertips up onto the shins and just start to mobilize the hips again. And just notice if they feel a little bit freer, a little bit less tightness and tension holding into the hips as when we started. And then just soles of the feet come together. Just take a butterfly for 1 minute. Hand on the heart, hand on the belly. Relax the elbows by the side. Relax the hip flexors, relax the glutes. This is important. Soften into the buttocks. Soften into the sphincter, and the spine naturally arches. Take the hands to the thighs, lift the legs together, and then make yourself nice and warm and comfortable to find your way into your final relaxation in Shavasana. And you might like to have the bolster underneath the knees. That's always quite nice when we've done a hip practice, finding hip flexibility. So it just releases the pelvis a little bit more, relaxes in through the spine a little bit more. And as you now come into your final relaxation, just allow your breath to slow down. Allow your mind to be present and not to wander. Allow your focus to be down into our target areas today of our hips, providing us with hip flexibility, releasing tightness, tension, gripping, and anything that we're holding on to emotionally, trying to let those emotions release as much as we can. And just returning back to how you felt at the beginning of your practice to how you feel now, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And Yin is our medicine. It nurtures our connective tissue, our ligaments, our tendons, our cartilage. Everything that surrounds the larger muscles around the skeletal system. And it's all connected. So if you have an ankle problem, maybe connected up to the knees or the hips or even the back, and vice versa. All of that is connected. And I'll give you some peace and quiet. I'll let you know when it's time to come back around from your Shavasana. But for now, enjoy this time for yourself to nourish, repair, nurture, and heal. Beginning to take a few deeper breaths now as you slowly bring your awareness back, bringing some soft and gentle movement into the hands, into the wrists, into the toes and the ankles. And just taking your time, stretching, drawing knees in, rolling out, massaging through the spine, releasing into those hips for one last time before you go back into your evening, and then bringing yourself up into a comfortable seat, maybe butterfly, Soles of the feet come together, hands come into heart center in Anjali Mudra. And just sit nice and tall here and feel all of the upper body weight dropping down now into the lower body, and the lower body weight dropping in towards the earth. So really give way to gravity and just check in with yourself. Check in with your intention, whatever resonated with you. Nurturing, nourishing, repairing, and healing. And a time for balance and slowing down as we come into autumn. And always thank yourself, your breath, and your physical body. And I thank you. Namaste.